Hey everyone, welcome back to Chalchitra Talks. मेरा नाम ध्रुव है and in this week's recommendation I wanted to do a little transition from the sort of shows I've been recommending so far on the series, and I wanted to talk about a show that I recently watched. It's an Indian show. The name of the show is Aarya, and this show marks the return of Sushmita Sen to the screen after a decade long hiatus. The show is an adaptation of the Dutch show Penodza, and it's created by the National Award winning film director Ram Madhwani, who you would know from his movie Neerja. I remember watching Neerja back when it released, and I was really intrigued with how beautifully the entire movie was directed. Honestly, in my opinion, it's one of the best biopics that Bollywood has given to us. His filmography is not a very exhaustive one, but is a very illustrious one at that. Ram Madhwani made his first movie in 2002, and it was called Let's Talk and starred Baman Irani in the movie. It was a very well made movie, and one of the first movies made completely on digital in Bollywood at that time, and it was later converted into 35 to be shown into the cinemas. He has also had a very interesting career in ad filmmaking, और उनका Happy Dent का ad is one of the most famous and recognizable ads that you guys would have definitely seen. Talking about Arya, this series is essentially a family drama wrapped inside of a crime drama, and heavily draws certain parallels with Neerja as well, in the sense that whereas on the surface Neerja was a hijack story, but at its core, it was also a mother daughter relationship that was there. Similarly, this series is also on the surface a crime thriller, but if you go towards its core, it's also a family drama. The story revolves around an upper class Rajput family in Rajasthan, which is running a pharmaceutical business, but that business is actually a front for the opium and drug trafficking that these guys are doing. Sushmita Sen, being a part of this family, is forced to take the top job in this company when a deal goes wrong and it ends up killing her husband. अगर हम इस शो के थीम के बारे में बात करें तो it's in some ways very similar to what the theme of the Godfather also is. हम लोग Godfather में भी देखते हैं कि माइकल कॉर्लियोने, जो कि डॉन कॉर्लियोने का बेटा होता है, he is in the army and he is forced to take up the family business because of circumstances, right? In similar ways, Arya is also forced to take up the family business because the circumstances are not in her favor. Even though she does not want to take up this thing, she has to take it because it's a family business and someone has to take it up. We see the narrative of the series being pushed ahead by its central character, wherein we see Sushmita Sen, who has recently lost her husband, is also supposed to take care of the family business while also taking care of her three children. We see a very restrained and mature performance coming in from her end, and the performance could have been very one tone had it been performed by someone who is an amateur, but we see a lot of nuance and a lot of heft that she is able to bring into the character. One very interesting thing about the character that Sushmita is playing in the series is that we never for once see her raising her voice in the series. Rather, all of the heft of the emotion is being carried or rather conveyed through her eyes or the emotions that she is feeling in that moment, but she doesn't let it come across in her voice, and that just speaks volumes about the kind of command she has over her craft. इस शो के ओपनिंग सीन में हम लोग देखते हैं कि सुष्मिता सेन is using the rings to do her workout, which she also does in real life, and we see that on her Instagram channel. But the fact that she is upside down on those rings in the initial scene of the series, it sort of sets the tone for the show that everything is about to take a 360-degree turn. ये सीरीज स्टोरी के मामले में इतनी कॉम्प्लेक्स नहीं है, but where it really shines is in the character development. The scripting for the characters and the way their character arcs have been written and drawn, and more importantly played by all of these actors, is just amazing, and everyone has done such a fine job in the series that it's hard to point out a false note. A couple of performances that really stood out for me in this series were from Namit Das, who played the role of Jawahar in the series. और ये business partner होता है इन लोगों का starting के अंदर, and then something goes wrong and he is shown as this very eccentric and as this very hyper person who's always snorting cocaine and he's high on something. We see Namit Das in a very different and never before seen sort of a role in this series, and he is playing the role of this guy who used to be a partner to Sushmita Sen's husband, who is played by Chandrachur Singh, and yes, he is also doing a comeback after a long time. I think मैंने उनको last जोश में ही देखा था. We also see Sikandar Kher playing a very interesting role in this series, and probably for the first time for me at least, I found him to be noticeable in a scene or in a movie that he is there. इससे पहले I didn't never think Sikandar could do like a good acting, but in this series I think he was a revelation for me. He plays the role of the right hand man of this patriarch of the family, who is sort of like the Don Corleone, if you will, and he just operates in shadows, and he is like a very quiet character. We don't see him engaging a lot in terms of emotion. एक चीज़ जो मेरे को सबसे ज़्यादा इस सीरीज में अच्छी लगी और जो मेरे लिए स्टैंड आउट था वो ये था कि the series did not really give into any of the cliches that we sort of used to associate with TV shows or movies coming out of India. This is very well represented in the fact how the series has dealt with the topics of homosexuality or religious minority for that matter. जिस भी मोमेंट में सीरीज में आपको लगेगा कि हाँ ये तो मतलब क्लासिक बॉलीवुड सीन है और इस पे तो हंगामा होगा या इस पे तो कुछ ना कुछ तो डायलॉग बाजी होगी, they always underplay it and they always make it happen like it's something which is like just absolutely normal, which I found really interesting because we don't really get to see that in the content that we make in our country, and it's overall a story more about the journey rather than the destination. तो जैसे कि मैंने बताया कि कैरेक्टर्स को इन लोगों ने इतने अच्छे से डिफाइन करा है. Ultimately the series has a mystery element to it. The series of course has a build up that it's building up to, but at the same time you would find yourself more engrossed into the lives of these characters और किस तरह से इनके प्रोफेशनल या बिजनेस के डिसीजंस इनकी पर्सनल लाइफ्स को इफेक्ट करते हैं, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली इट्स ऑल वन बिग फैमिली. देयर इज नो थर्ड पार्टी, देयर इज नो थर्ड कैरेक्टर जो कि घुस रहा है और देयर इज सम अदर मिस्ट्री element emerging out of it. Ultimately it's these people only who are someone is backstabbing someone else, or like someone is taking a bad call and then someone else has to pay for it. ये सीरीज हमारे को काफ़ी मोटिवेट करती है कैरेक्टर्स के साथ जीने के लिए, rather than फोकसिंग ऑन के किसने किसको मारा या क्या हुआ. यू वुड बी रियली इंट्रीग्ड टू सी कि ये कैरेक्टर्स क्या कर रहे हैं, इनकी मोटिवेशंस क्या है. अनदर वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग अबाउट द सीरीज इज दैट कहीं पर भी इन्होंने ब्लैक एंड वाइट में पेंट नहीं करा है चीज़ों को. दे हैव ट्राइड टू शो दैट पीपल हैव ग्रे शेड्स, और ज़रूरी नहीं है कि कोई सही कर रहा है तो कोई एब्सोल्युटली उसका नेगेटिव गलत कर रहा है. सो देयर इज़ नॉट a lot of clash in that sense. हमें काफ़ी सारे ग्रे एरियाज देखने को मिलते हैं कि लोग अच्छे हैं बट एट द सेम टाइम दे आर डूइंग सम शेडी स्टफ एज वेल, which is very commendable, and it provides a very understated charm to the show that we rarely get to see nowadays. The music of the show has a very atmospheric feel to it, and there's a very distinct tonal shift happening from the first half to the second half. In the first half we'll see that the music or the background music, so to say, it's very muted and it's very under the scenes. But 6th episodes onwards, we'll notice that the music sort of starts to pump up as the intensity is also building story-wise. The way the series is shot is again very interesting because they have not tried to, again, since the series is set in Rajasthan, it could have been very easy for them to sort of insert Khamba Gadi or the cultural references that people used to overuse. I feel that the cultural references have been kept at the bare minimum while also setting a very consistent aesthetic tone to the show during the entire run of it. Ultimately, I would say that it was not a very deep or a layered show in that sense, and it definitely had certain moments wherein you would feel that it's lagging a little, especially towards the couple of episodes in the center of the series. But The show also is a very satisfying watch overall if you do carry through the entirety of it, and it shows how far our cinema has come from its contrived and subpar adaptations in the past. In the end, I would just like to reference a line that I read somewhere and I feel perfectly fits in the context of Aarya as a TV show, and it goes something like humanity's profound crisis is not that people are monsters, it's that even monsters are people. And with that, I would like to conclude my recommendation for this week. Do let me know, guys, if you ended up liking the show or not. I would love to see and read your comments down below. I will be back next week with a new recommendation for you all. Till then, take care and bye bye.